Welcome to the 2026 State of the City event. To begin the afternoon, please enjoy this performance by members of the Denver Symphony Orchestra and the Denver Youth Artists Orchestra.
Welcome to the 2026 State of the City. We'd like to thank the Colorado Symphony and the Denver Young Artist Orchestra for the opening performance. Can we all give them a round of applause? And thank you to the Denver Municipal Band for the procession music. Can we give them another round of applause? If you are able, please rise for the presentation of colors performed by the Department of Safety Honor Guard. And please join me in welcoming the national anthem singer, Jaylyn Green, and the ASL interpreter, Sophia Evangeline Vitora Perdomo.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, in the home of the brave.
Thank you to the Department of Safety Honor Guard. Thank you, Jaylyn Green and Sophia Evangeline Ventura Perdomo, for your service this evening. And now I have the honor and would like to invite up our new City Council President Pro Tem, Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez, to deliver the Denver Land Acknowledgement.
Good evening. The City and County of Denver honors and acknowledges that the land on which we reside is the traditional, unceded territory of the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples. We also recognize the 48 contemporary tribal nations that are historically tied to the stolen lands that make up the state of Colorado. We honor elders past, present, and future, and those who have stewarded this land throughout generations. We also recognize that government, academic, and cultural institutions were founded upon and continue to enact exclusions and erasures of Indigenous peoples. May this acknowledgement demonstrate a commitment to working to dismantle ongoing legacies of oppression and inequities, and recognize the current and future contributions of Indigenous communities here in Denver. Now I would like to invite up our new City Council President, Diana Romero Campbell.
You may be seated. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you may be seated. Thank you, Councilwoman Gonzalez Gutierrez, Pro Tem Gonzalez Gutierrez. Whew, here we go. Here in Denver, we are fortunate to live in a city defined by its beauty, resilience, growth, and a strong sense of community. Our community is built every day by our residents and supported by our dedicated leaders. I would like to thank all of our elected officials who have demonstrated deep devotion to our city. Please stand as you are able to be recognized. Pro Tem Serena Gonzalez Gutierrez. District 1 Amanda Sandoval. District 2 Kevin Flynn. District 3 Jamie Torres. District 5 Amanda Sawyer. District 6 Paul Cashman. District 7 Flor Alvidres. District 8 Chantel Lewis. District 9 Daryl Watson. District 10 Chris Hines. District Attorney Walsh. Sorry about that. Presiding Judge Lombardi. Clerk and Recorder Lopez. And now, I would like to invite up Archbishop James Golka, the Archbishop of Denver, for today's invocation.
It is an honor to be here. It's a joy to pray together with you. And so thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the invitation. Let us pray. Ever faithful, all-loving God, we know that you are trustworthy. We know that you care for your children, your family, great. Tonight we give you thanks for the many gifts received. In a particular way, we give you thanks for this city, but also for the entire world which you've given to us. And as we give you thanks, we ask your blessing to be upon this gathering here tonight. We ask your Holy Spirit to bless our mayor, bless all elected officials, bless all in public service, bless all volunteers, fill them with wisdom, and shape their heart after your own, a heart of service and care for your children. We also ask you to bless the rest of us, your citizens. Fill us with grace to be able to try to make our world a little better. We give you permission to work through us to care for your people here. And in a special way, we hold up tonight all of those in need of love, in need of family, in need of faith, in need of food, in need of shelter from the heat. We just lift them all up to you, Lord, and all of us are in need in some way. So send your Spirit to touch our hearts. And again, we give you permission through our service to care for them. We ask you especially to look out for the least, the littlest, the lost, the last, for the poor, for the immigrant. Surround them with your grace and with your care. And we all ask all of this in utter confidence and utter humility in your name. Amen.
Thank you for those words. And now, good evening, everyone. It is an incredible honor to stand before you today as president of the Denver City Council. Thank you. I am grateful to my colleagues for their trust. I'm excited to serve alongside each of them on behalf of the people of Denver. One of the things I love most about this city is that no two neighborhoods are exactly alike. Every community has its own story, its own strengths, its own opportunities. Our city council also reflects that. We come from different backgrounds, represent different parts of Denver, and bring different lived experiences. And that isn't something to overcome, it is one of our greatest strengths. It means we ask better questions, we consider more perspectives, and make better decisions because our conversations reflect the people that we serve. Before I continue, I want to recognize my predecessor, Councilwoman Amanda P. Sandoval. Councilwoman Sandoval's dedication to this council and to the people of Denver has left a remarkable legacy. Public service truly is in her DNA. Following in the footsteps of her father, Paul Sandoval, she has continued a family tradition of serving Denver with integrity, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to community. Her expertise, especially in zoning and land use, has helped shape the city that we want and in ways that will be felt for 7 generations to come. Councilwoman Sandoval, thank you for your leadership, your partnership, and your service. It is an honor to build on the foundation you have created. To you. As Council President, my highest priority is building a culture of collaboration. Collaboration doesn't mean we always agree. Healthy debate is essential to good governance. It means listening with respect, challenging one another thoughtfully, and remembering that every decision we make should answer one question: how will we improve the life for the people of Denver? That commitment begins with making sure residents have a seat at the table. Every ordinance, every budget decision, and every policy should reflect the voices of the communities we represent. People deserve to know that government isn't happening to them, but it's happening with them. My commitment to inclusive leadership is grounded in something that is deeply personal. This city has been the foundation of my life. My roots are in Colorado and here in Denver. From my grandfather or from my grandpa, who was a coal miner, a grandmother who raised my mom and her 5 siblings in North Denver, my dad who grew up doing migrant farm work in Colorado, and my mom who helped raise her siblings. And against all odds, they went to college, and that's where they met, and they became educators. I was born and raised in Southeast Denver. I raised my children here, my family is here, and I have dedicated my career to serving children, youth, and families across the state through the nonprofit sector. And like so many of you in this city, it has shaped who I am. When I think about Denver's future, I don't just think about the next budget cycle or the next development project. I think about my children, my nieces and my nephews. I think about every young person growing up in this city and asking the same question so many families are asking today. Will I be able to afford to stay here? Can I build my career here? Can I raise a family here? Can I find quality and affordable childcare? Can I build a community here? And can I thrive here? And those aren't abstract policy questions. They're personal, and they should guide every decision we make as leaders. Keeping Denver affordable starts with housing, but it doesn't end there. We need more housing that working families, seniors, young professionals, and longtime residents can actually afford. Across Southeast Denver, I've worked to support affordable housing developments that create opportunities for families to stay in the communities that they love. Affordability is more than just rent and mortgages, too. It's about belonging. Addressing affordability is also about quality childcare so parents can work. It is about reliable transportation that connects people to jobs and opportunity. It's about ensuring our older adults can age in community. It's about investing in neighborhoods so every resident has access to parks and libraries and small and businesses and the services that help communities thrive and protect our most vulnerable residents. That same commitment to belonging means investing in our young people, in their ideas, in their creativity, and their voices, like we just heard tonight, will shape the next generation of Denver. That's why partnerships with Denver Public Schools, nonprofits, neighborhood organizations, and businesses and community leaders matter so much to investing in young people and creates a lasting generational change in this city. As council members, each of us are deeply committed to our own districts, but our responsibility doesn't end at district boundaries. The success of every neighborhood strengthens our entire city. That's why collaboration matters, not just among council members, but with city agencies, schools, community organizations, the business community, and our residents. It also means building strong working relationships with Mayor Johnston and his administration. City Council and the mayor have different responsibilities. The mayor has administrative and executive oversight of city agencies and their budgets, but City Council creates the laws. We approve the annual budget and oversight for land use decisions. The separation between the two branches of government is important. Accountability matters. But accountability and collaboration can and should exist together. We share many of the same goals: making our neighborhoods safer, expanding affordable housing, addressing homelessness, and strengthening our economy. Those challenges are too significant for any one of us to solve alone. Denver is strongest when we work together with mutual respect, open communication, and a shared commitment to the people we serve. At the same time, we can never lose sight of what residents expect from us every single day. Good governance isn't only measured by the biggest initiatives, it's also measured by whether the trash gets picked up, and the potholes get fixed, and the park is clean, or if someone can get an answer when they call 311. Those everyday services may not make headlines, but they build trust. They remind people that their city works for them, and that trust is the foundation for everything else we hope to accomplish. Denver has continued to grow, evolve, and meet the challenges because people have never stopped believing in our city. Our city's greatest strength isn't only our skyline or our economy, it's our people. It's the neighbors who show up for each other every single day. As leaders, we also have a responsibility to keep learning. No one person has all the answers. Every conversation is an opportunity to learn. Every resident who comes to public comment, attends a community meeting, or reaches out to our offices brings knowledge that can make us better leaders. As we begin this next chapter, my hope is simple: that we continue building a Denver where every family can stay, every neighborhood has the opportunity to thrive, and where every resident feels heard, valued, and connected. A Denver where everyone belongs, because when every neighborhood succeeds, Denver succeeds. And when we choose collaboration over division, service over politics, and community over individual interests, there is nothing the city cannot accomplish. Thank you. It is an incredible honor to serve the city. I look forward to building Denver's future together. Now please welcome Mayor Mike Johnston.
Well, good evening. Great to see you all, and thank you so much for being here on this special event. We're honored to welcome you to the National Western Complex. If you want to host events here, see how beautiful the space is, just talk to folks on the way out. We'd love to have you use it. But we are excited here to talk about where the city goes, where the city's come, and what's next. But I want to start by extending a few very important thank yous, obviously first and foremost to our council partners, but particularly to our new council president, Diana Ramore Campbell. I'm so excited about the work we get to do together. Congratulations on your new leadership role. The President Pro Tem, Gonzalez Gutierrez, so delighted for this new role for you and can't wait to see what we can get done together. Congratulations. And of course, the President Sandoval. It has been such an honor to serve this city with you these last 2 years. You've taught me so much and delivered so much. Thank you so much for your partnership. I want to thank a couple of our colleagues and partners who are here tonight. You know, to help lead a city requires great partnerships at the state level, at the federal level, and great predecessors who give you advice on what to do and what not to do. And so I want to thank a couple of those folks that are here. Governor Polis, thank you so much for being here, for your incredible years of partnership. We're thrilled that you're here. Attorney General and Democratic nominee for Governor Phil Weiser, thank you so much for your ongoing service and commitment. My two predecessors, friends, and mentors who are here, both Federico Pena and Michael Hancock, thank you for your service to the city as mayors and your partnership. And I also want to recognize our new Democratic nominee for the 1st Congressional District, Malat Quiroz. Thank you so much for being here tonight, Malat. And then, most important to me, I want to recognize two groups of folks. The first, who is most responsible for me not just being on the stage, but being in the city and being able to live the life that I do, which is my wife, Courtney, and my two boys, Emmett and Seamus, are here. We love you so much. And they are about to head off to college. This was like the last obligation they had to do, I think, before they were done. And then they don't get thanked nearly enough, but you see their work every single day in this city. We have in our audience tonight the 27 executive directors who run every one of our agencies, who support every service in the city. If you're a member of our cabinet, could you please stand and be recognized for your incredible work? And then finally, we have staff from the mayor's office who not just put on this amazing event tonight, but do everything but from work with our council to our operations work, to our communications, to our legislation. So could all of our mayor's office staff who help make this night and every night possible, please stand and be recognized. Yes! Okay. Thank you all. Well, tonight my job here is to report to you on the state of the city, and I will. But the true state of a city has never been found in budget lines or building permits. It is found in our people. And so I want to start by telling you a story of one of those people, a woman whose story still defines this city today. She was born more than 150 years ago to parents, Melissa and Pryor Warren, who were formerly enslaved. In 1871, they welcomed a daughter, Justina. For all their joy, they knew they were raising a young black girl in a country where she could not vote, was not supposed to set foot in a college classroom, or be able to own her own land. Their dreams could have flickered, but instead, they grew more fierce. They dreamed into her. They told her every day the things she could be. And fueled by those dreams, she excelled in high school and graduated, went on to college, but did not stop there. As the only black woman in her class, she pressed on to medical school and graduated and passed her medical boards to become a doctor. But then the old world started closing in. No hospital in Chicago would have her. No practice would take her. Justina Ford refused to take no for an answer. So she went looking for a place that shared her sense of possibility, a place that would welcome anyone willing to work hard and give something back. And in 1902, she decided that place was Denver. And when she arrived, Justina Ford became the first black woman licensed to practice medicine in the history of Colorado. You can plaque for that. Things still weren't easy. Hospitals didn't admit her on admitting privileges, so she instead bought a house in Five Points and opened a maternity practice out of her living room. And the babies started coming. Black mothers, Latina mothers, white mothers, they all came to Justina's house to find care they could trust and they could afford. By the time she retired, she had delivered 7,000 children in this community. Our historians, thank you, you can clap for her for that too. Our historians believe that she brought into this world descendants that now count 150,000 residents of city of Denver and the state of Colorado. Those folks walking the streets of this city today because one woman came to Denver to chase a dream. That is not just Justina Ford's story. It is the story of this city. She saw a system that was broken and a country that wasn't living up to its promise, and she came to Denver because she believed that here she could change it. And when she saw it change here in Denver, that is what gave her the hope for the future of this city and this country. For people like Justina Ford, Denver was the home of an open frontier. And the power of that idea rests with the fact that both words matter intensely. Always open and always a frontier. Open means open to all. Denver was a place that did not care who your granddaddy was or how much you were worth. We cared how hard you could work, what you could do for yourself, and what could you do for the people around you. And it was always a frontier because a frontier is not really a place. It's a possibility. It's the line between the world as it is and the world as it could be, and a standing invitation to cross that line. And the people that came persevered. They worked together. They refused to give in. And the power that fueled this place was never gold or silver or oil and gas. It was opportunity. And that opportunity does not hide Denver's hard truths. The promise of opportunity hasn't always been kept. The Ute, the Cheyenne, the Arapaho lived on this land for generations before anyone ever called it a frontier. The first block built on Larimer Street was built in violation of the treaty that recognized that as tribal land. We were and still are a place that is becoming the dream we have of a land of opportunity. That promise of this place has always been bigger than its failures. Our job is not to repeat the failures. Our job is to keep the promise. It's in that call for reinvention that we are still a frontier, not a frontier of memory, but a place that draws its power from the opportunity to change. Sir, I'd be happy to talk to you after this is over, but I want to finish the story that these folks are here to hear. So I'd love to have you stay if you can, but if you can, I do want to finish this conversation. So I'm going to keep going. People came here because they were stuck someplace else. The wrong job, the wrong name, the wrong race, no way up. They were told to settle for less, but they insisted on more. In a world of can'ts, Denver was built by people who proved you can. There will always be those who cling to the broken belief that you only get bigger by making other people feel smaller. But the simple math of the frontier is this: division only makes us smaller. Addition always makes us bigger. Add more people, add more cultures, add more beliefs, add more traditions. That is how we grow a place whose strength is the diversity of its backgrounds, wrapped tightly around a commitment to shared beliefs. If we don't like it, we can change it. If it's broken, we can fix it. If we don't see it, we can dream it. And if we dream it, we can build it. I don't need to tell you that the country we love is in a hard season. There are real reasons to be afraid. We've watched families torn apart by immigration raids. We've seen American citizens killed on the street for raising their voice in resistance. We've seen white supremacists marching on our nation's capital. Foreign wars batter the economy, and hand-folded flags are given to mothers who spent a lifetime using those hands to hold the baby boy they will never hold again. There are real reasons to be worried. Parents worry, like I do, about how our kids will ever be able to afford a home. Worry if they can find a job in a world changed by AI. Worry that whatever job they do get may not pay enough to support a family in a place where groceries and energy and childcare just keeps going up while paychecks stay the same. But the greatest fear is not that bad things are happening. It is that too many Americans have stopped believing things can get better. People promise change and nothing happens. The system doesn't care or doesn't respond or doesn't work. The rent doesn't come down. The jobs never arrive. The childcare slot never comes up. People who are relying on hope and don't see change end up in despair. When you keep waiting for things to get fixed and they don't, you only have two choices. You think the people next door to you are the problem, so you tear them down, or you think democracy is the problem, and you try to tear that down. This president has pushed us to believe both. But in that despair, the most powerful response is not to call him out, it's to prove him wrong. It's to deliver results that show that his theory of the case is wrong, that delivering real change is the most powerful tool to fight despair, and the most powerful way to rebuild hope. That is why in Denver we hold on to a simple contrarian belief that our toughest problems are solvable, and that we are the ones to solve them. And to prove it to ourselves, these last few years we went at the hardest problems first. And I want to tell you a couple stories about people who have fought their way through those hard problems. I want to tell you about Seth. Seth grew up right here in Denver. His battle with addiction started when he was 15. Only short periods of sobriety. He moved thinking that if he changed places, he might outrun it. Went to San Francisco and then to Vegas, hoping a change of scenery would help. In Vegas, his brother got into ironworking, and for a while he was on his feet and got clean. Then he came home to Denver for a long weekend and started using again. Never went back to work, never went back to Vegas, didn't make it out of the clutches of addiction. That addiction kept him homeless on the streets of Denver for 4 years and then landed him in jail. He got out of jail and was ready to take one more shot at getting clean when he got a call from his mom that his brother, the one who helped him get back on his feet, had started using again and had just died of an overdose. Seth was living in his car. He was ready to give up. He said he was ready to die. And then Jesse Millison knocked on his car window. Jesse worked on our street outreach team, and he asked Seth one question. Did he want to come inside? Seth got out of the car. He moved into a room in one of our all-in hotels. He stabilized. He got clean. He started training to become a truck driver. He earned his commercial driver's license. He applied and moved into an apartment all on his own, and texted me about a month ago the photo of his mom coming to visit him in his new apartment before he took her to church. And that photo is the promise of a boy who refused to let his mom bury a second son, who knew he still had something to offer, and when his angel, as he calls Jesse, came to knock on the window at just the moment he was ready to give up, he dug in to fight one more time. So what does it mean when we say we've dropped unsheltered homelessness in Denver 64%? It means outreach workers like Jesse. It means don't disrespect the people whose story we're here to talk about. Anna, don't disrespect the folks that are here to be talked about. I'm going to go ahead and wait for you, Anna, to move, and then I'll be able to finish the story about Seth. Dissent is part of governing. It's okay. I want to finish the story about a man that is here to demonstrate that change is possible. Okay, here we go. In Denver, let me tell you the story about Seth. What we mean when we talk about this promise is that folks like Jesse, our outreach teams out there, have knocked on 9,000 car windows and 9,000 tent flaps and brought 9,000 people inside. It means 8,000 of those neighbors now have a safe place where their kids can play and they can start a life, and their mom can come to visit on Easter and be proud all over again. It means thousands of people this city was told to give up on are giving back to this city instead, and that is a Denver worth being proud of. Seth, would you please stand so the folks in this room can give you a round of applause for your courage and your success. You deserve that, Seth. And we aren't finished. Every success like Seth makes me more impatient about the people we are still not getting to, because we will never, ever, ever stop fighting for the people who need us the most, and you will inspire us to know that it's all possible. So thank you. I want to talk a little bit about safety. After COVID, La Alma Lincoln Park was a place that started to slip. There were shootings, drug activity moved in, families stopped going outside. First, games got canceled, then the baseball league shut down altogether. A lot of people had written off the park, but two men refused. Commander Aaron Rebertrano grew up in an area of Pueblo not unlike La Alma Lincoln, a well-rooted neighborhood with families that had been there for generations, and the desire to serve places like it drew him to the Denver Police Department in 2008. He learned how to be a cop patrolling the streets of District 1, and in 2025, when he took over as the commander, responsible for this neighborhood. And Seth Housden, the city's recreation director, had watched the decline from his side of the fence too. And so Reb and Seth sat down with neighbors and asked them what needed to happen. And the answers were clear. Lights in the park, more patrols, safer crosswalks. So they went to work. They cleared encampments and got folks housing. They closed drug markets. DPD established the Colfax car, which is a 2-officer assignment focused solely on that neighborhood. Our transportation team put in new lights. Our foresters cleared dead trees and shrubbery, and our licensing team enforced against bad behavior at nearby convenience stores. Parks and Rec filled the calendar with events, and they brought baseball back for the first time in years. The result? Total crime in Alma Lincoln Park is down 31% in 1 year. Violent gun crime is down 45%. And the same is true across Denver. Between 2020 and 2023, this city averaged close to 100 homicides per year. Today, we have cut that number almost in half. But that doesn't mean our work is done. Progress doesn't always move in a straight line. There will always be challenges, and that's why at the beginning of the summer, when we started receiving reports that Alma Lincoln was seeing issues again, we didn't wait for it to get worse. Seth and Reb and our neighbors went right back to work to make sure history would not repeat itself. These are the partnerships we are setting up all over the city. And in 5 of the 6 locations we are running these partnerships, we have not had a single shooting this year. And it works because it is not a one-time fix. It is an ongoing partnership between neighbors and police and city agencies to address each concern as it arises. This is our commitment. It isn't a promise that there will never be problems. It is a promise that we will never shy away from tackling them together. Let's talk about housing, one of the biggest challenges we've taken on. On kitchen counters all across Denver, the largest bill waiting to be paid is the rent check. People love this city. They moved here. They built lives here. They were raised here. And every year they wonder whether they will be able to afford to stay. A city you cannot afford to stay in is not open, no matter what the sign says. So we went to work using every lever we have. To encourage new construction, we transformed a permitting process that used to take 3 years into one that now takes 180 days. Today, nearly 90% of permits go out on time, almost double what it was 3 years ago. We committed to building housing at every income level to open up supply. We've now delivered 6,000 dedicated affordable units where families pay no more than 30% of their income to rent, and they don't have to worry that the rent will go up. And we started turning empty office buildings into homes. Just last week, we opened our first office conversion at the Denver Tech Center with the new council president. It's 143 new affordable apartments. And one of the first residents there who I met was Karen. Karen is a single mom of 2 who teaches at Swigert Elementary School. In her spare time, she runs a nonprofit bringing after-school programming to kids who need it. She moved to Denver because, in her words, this city is truly the best place for her kids to grow up. We know a place you can afford makes Denver feel like home. That's why we celebrated when some rents in Denver came down as much as 10% over the past 18 months, among the steepest declines in the country. But the real measure of success isn't just the numbers. It's this. The more we bring down the rent, the more teachers, coaches, servers, and nurses will live in this city they love and stay in this city they serve. That is what makes Denver vibrant. That is what makes Denver affordable, and that is what makes it home to teachers like Karen. Karen, could you please stand, and we can give you a round of applause for all you do for this city. And your wonderful kids. Great to see you all. One more update on downtown, and I want to talk about what's ahead. When we took office, we made a promise about downtown, not just to restore what it was before COVID, but to build the downtown of the future, the economic engine of the city, a place to eat and sing and cheer and laugh. And we fully reopened 16th Street, our city's main street, rebuilt end to end and filled again with art and music, shops, and people from all over the world. We've welcomed 108 new businesses since January of 2025, and more than 2,500 new homes are now in the pipeline to be built. This summer, Pride and the Outside Days Festival alone drew nearly 1.2 million people back to downtown. If you went to see the World Cup match, nothing better than the US-Paraguay game at Skyline Park, but that's gathered more than 60,000 people to watch over 100 games together downtown. And to make it easier to get downtown, we just launched the Mayor's Park 5 program, which opens thousands of parking spaces for just $5. So the hardest part of a night downtown is now just deciding where to eat or what show to see. Don't have to worry about finding a place to park. And now downtown foot traffic, thank you. It matters if you're trying to park. Now downtown foot traffic is back to 90% of pre-COVID levels, and we're just getting started. But what matters most is who is carrying this comeback. Our vision for downtown is that it represents the best of Denver, only in Denver. It is the place where you can find your favorite neighborhood restaurant or your favorite local brand all downtown. And that's what's happening. That's what's happening right now. Samdi, one of our favorite Thai restaurants in Uptown, will be opening a signature restaurant downtown. Frank and Jacqueline Bonanno, Denver restaurant legends, will be opening their next great venture, Ramyo, on Larimer. Milk Tea People will be expanding their successful location to 16th Street. Kanjo Ethiopian, many people's favorites, is planning now a second location on 16th, bringing authentic Ethiopian food and culture to downtown. Yes. And Half Days, the women-owned outdoor brand that had offices all around the country but relocated them all to downtown and planted themselves at the base of the mountains they outfit, now will have an office on Wine Coop and a new flagship on Walnut. Those are the folks, the best of Denver, only in Denver, that are rebuilding our downtown. Would you please give them a huge round of applause for their work? If you could stand. And we want more and more businesses to make their mark here in Denver. That's why this month we announced the Denver Jobs Agenda, which will support 10,000 jobs across the city. It'll help Denverites find a job that pays a family wage. It'll help launch and grow small businesses like Conjo. And it'll help attract more great companies like Half Days to call Denver home. And our residents are betting on this city too. Last fall, you remember almost 70% of Denver voters passed the Vibrant Denver Bond, $1 billion investment in rec centers, libraries, bridges, and parks in every neighborhood. In a moment full of examples when government doesn't work, Denver built proof of what does. Shaped by our residents, supported by our residents, passed by our residents, this is a city betting on itself. And everything we have built in this city, everything that Mayor Pena and Mayor Hancock have built in this city, we are also willing to defend. Because there is one more rule of the frontier, which is we never go looking for a fight, but we never dodge one when trouble comes for the people that we love and the values we live by. That's why when the Trump administration tried to cancel our funding for our Standing Up for Diversity, we took them to court. That's why when they tried to strike down a common sense assault weapons ban that's been in place for 37 years, we said hell no. And that's why we will continue to do everything that's required for everyone in our community to feel safe in this city, no matter what federal administration tries to bully or threaten them. Denver will always be home to everyone. These stories are not evidence of a mission accomplished. They're just proof that change is possible and that real change is the true source of hope. When we can see that we commit ourselves to working on something and together we make it better, that is the essential fuel of the city. The self-evident truth that good people working together can change their world. And when we were tested, Denver proved what it looks like to find that belief again. In the middle of all this work that the council and we were working on around homelessness and crime and housing, in the middle of all those challenges, the governor of Texas sent 40,000 migrants to Denver, more than any city in the country. He did it because he believed this would crush our spirit, that it would make us hate each other again. Instead, what the world saw from Denver was not a city who complained or gave up or blamed someone else. It was a city who believed our problems were solvable, even when those problems weren't of our own making. And Denver responded. Moms organized food drives and clothing chains that fed and housed thousands of people, like Andrea Ryle with the Highland Mommies. Juan, the co-founder of Cross Purpose, left his role to start his own program that helped more than 12,000 people apply for work authorization. Teams in our housing department created new systems to get folks up and off the streets and housed so that many Denver residents could find their way home. And even our city employees and our own Denver Broncos, like Justin Norwood, brought families to live in their homes. And their kids walked hand in hand to school together. And a year later after Trump insisted that immigrants would drive up crime and homelessness, the city that had received the most migrants had driven down crime and driven down homelessness more than any other city in the country. They believed that challenges would break people, and once broken, we would turn on each other. What they didn't know is that when people fight through challenges and deliver change, when they see that our problems are solvable, and they see it with their own eyes, then when the next crisis comes, we don't turn on each other, we turn to each other. That is how change drives hope and defeats despair. And that is what Denver has shown the world. Thank you. I want to talk about the road ahead. At all stages, this city as a frontier was never just about the land. It was about opportunity. It was about opportunity open to anyone. As grand as the Rocky Mountains and as vast as our big blue skies. It's what Justina Ford came here for. It's what brought all of our families here at some point. And to keep that opportunity open, we must make it available to everyone in this city. Thank you. A city of opportunity is a place where you can raise a family without going broke, where you can afford to buy a home in the neighborhood that raised you, where your kid gets a fair start no matter what block she is born on. That's the standard, and tonight I want to talk to you about the 3 opportunities that will define our next chapter. The opportunity to thrive, the opportunity to belong, and the opportunity to connect. First, the opportunity to thrive. Every generation has faced its own tough questions. How do you cross the Rockies? How do you grow food when it snows in April? Today's families face a different question, and it arrives at 6:45 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, which is, who's taking care of the baby so I can go to work? And here's the math families are living with in Denver. I don't have to tell a lot of the folks in this crowd who already know it. Denver has 31,000 kids under the age of 4 and fewer than 5,000 available licensed childcare slots for those kids. Families are paying an average right now of $25,000 a year for one child. That's $50,000 for 2 children. That means after rent, some families are spending 2/3 of their income just paying for rent and paying for childcare before they ever buy groceries, before they ever pay for school supplies or a family trip or even a birthday party. That burden left unchecked has made cities impossible places to raise a family, and that is a fate we will not allow Denver to repeat. Last week, we're grateful that City Council took the first step to help make it easier to open childcare, ending the duplicative licensing requirements. I want to thank them for that, and it is a very important first step. But a city of opportunity is a place where childcare doesn't cost more than rent. So tonight, we begin the next phase. That phase is making Denver the best city in America to raise a child. Now, 60 years ago, preschool as we know it barely existed in Denver. But 2 women were determined to change that. Anna Jo Haynes and Nancy Gary partnered with United Way to launch Denver's first preschool network through the Mile High Early Learning. They spent decades fighting for free full-day kindergarten and later partnered with Mayor Hickenlooper to create the nationally recognized Denver preschool program, making preschool available to every 4-year-old in Denver. Those 2 giants are here tonight. Would you please join me in honoring the visionaries who dreamed Denver's promise of preschool, Anna Jo Haynes and Nancy Gary. Yes. But if you know these women as I do, you know they are never satisfied and they are never sitting back. They are not here for your applause. They are here to push you to do more. And so in their honor, tonight we want to start the plan to finish what they started. We carried the promise of universal education to kindergarten, then to preschool, but tonight we carry it the rest of the way. Tonight we carry it to universal childcare for every family in Denver. So tonight, in these 2 women's honor, we will create the Haynes-Gary Task Force, charged with delivering the plan to deliver on childcare for all before the end of our 2nd term. This task force has 3 jobs. First, to cut the red tape so passionate educators can open and run a quality childcare business without drowning in paperwork. Yes, for those that work in these places, they know how real that is. Second, to build a pipeline of well-trained, well-paid caregivers who can support this system. And third, to chart the path to make care affordable and accessible for every Denver family within the next 5 years. And we will start this the way we always start big initiatives, which is by listening to Denver residents. So over the next 6 months, we will launch a citywide listening conversation, going into neighborhoods to hear from the families and providers at barbershops and nail salons and school pickups, listening to folks every day. Where families are struggling, where providers are stuck, and what it takes to get this done. Some cities are betting on economic investments or infrastructure for their city and their futures. We are betting on our kids. Thank you to Nancy and Anna Jo for inspiring us to do this. Next is the opportunity to belong. Council President mentioned this idea. The opportunity to belong in Denver. Rents are coming down and permits are moving faster, but what people want most of all is their own place. A place where the rent won't keep going up. A home with your name on the deed, something you can own and pass on, your own part of the American dream. People want a home that tells them Denver is the place they belong. Not for a little while, but forever. And for too many Denver families, that dream is out of reach. So as a city, we will not watch from the sidelines as prices go out of reach. Where we own land, we will make deals that drive down the cost of building new homes. Where we have financial tools like the Downtown Denver Authority, we can cut the cost of borrowing so projects break ground in months instead of years. And when the city shows up as a partner, more homes get built at every income level, and they get built faster. That is how a city builds opportunity with our land, our dollars, and our political will. And the question, thank you. And the question with the dream of this size is not just how we will build housing, but where we will build housing to grow with the future of the city. So that's why I want to talk about the last item tonight, which is our opportunity to connect. For 100 years, growth in American cities has been a story of winners and losers. A neighborhood gets hot, developers rush in, they build luxury units the neighbors can't afford, they extract value, and they move on. The growth is not planned, it's not connected, it's not fair. And the people who built that neighborhood are often the first ones who get pushed out of it. This is why we've spent the last 3 years assembling the pieces of a different way to grow. Growth that matches our values, that keeps neighborhoods affordable for the families who have been there for generations. Growth that makes it possible for a young family to own a home. Growth that puts housing next to transit so we spend less time in traffic and more time with our kids. Growth that protects open space in every neighborhood, that builds complete places with housing, jobs, groceries, parks, and an easy way to get anywhere without a car. And tonight, we try to put those values together in a series of 7 connected places that will lead this new kind of values-driven growth. These are places that you've seen of or heard of, but places that we have worked on as a coordinated effort to advance the city's values. They include a 155-acre park at the old Park Hill Golf Course, the largest single piece of private land ever turned into a public park in this city's history. They include 65 acres right here at the National Western Center where we sit tonight in the heart of Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea. It includes the next generation of downtown, from the reopened 16th Street to new office to housing conversions. It includes the proposed developments of Ball Arena and the River Mile that the council has worked so hard to support and zone. It includes Burnham Yard, a 150-acre campus around a new stadium that will host Super Bowls and Final Fours and many people who will call it home. It includes Old Mile High, the 85 acres where the current stadium stands that will return to city ownership when the Broncos move. It includes Santa Fe Yard's future home of the Denver Summit and already home to light rail and a vibrant South Broadway. Tonight, for the first time, we give these set of projects one name and one set of values: the Mile High Line. Now, you may have heard about some of these places, a park here, a stadium there, but what is new tonight is the vision we have built that binds them together. One unified promise that Denver's next decades of growth will be connected, affordable, and owned by the people who live here. This vision connects all of Denver's values. The Mile High Line is many things. It's an economic strategy. These projects will support tens of thousands of jobs and a long-term economic change to this city. It's a housing strategy. We will open thousands of new homes across this line. Our target will be to help support 20,000 new housing units across these 7 locations. It is a transit strategy because every one of these projects sits on existing light rail, and we will link them together with a series of bike and pedestrian paths that allow you to live there if you choose without owning a car. It's a climate strategy because walkable neighborhoods powered by geothermal and renewable energy with hundreds of acres of new parks. And it's an equity strategy. Every one of these investments will be made in parts of the city that have waited far too long for investment. These projects will be shaped by community voices and guided by one promise, that the people who make these neighborhoods what they are must be able to afford to stay and share in what comes next. Each one of these sites are in the midst of community benefits conversations, which help us decide what the long-term benefits for everyone will be. But these places are a fight for the future of Denver. A fight for a Denver that is open to us, that is owned by us, and that is affordable for us. Let me give you 3 short examples of these, then I'll close. Park Hill. For those of you who know it, for decades, Park Hill was a privately run golf course that sat in the middle of the most historic Black neighborhood in Denver. A neighborhood created when redlining drew an invisible race line across the city. There were giant green fields there, but you couldn't throw a football with your son unless you could pay. Washed Park, City Park, Central Park, other neighborhoods got iconic regional parks. Park Hill never did. That changes now. We're building the largest new park in 120 years of Denver history in the heart of this neighborhood. And at a time when the federal government is cutting public lands and closing open space, we commit to do the opposite, to make parks and public spaces more available, more accessible, and more equitable than ever before. And that is why Park Hill is designed to be a world-class park surrounded by transit, grocery stores, restaurants, and homes that working families can afford. So the people who call this neighborhood home can keep calling it home. That is the vision of great spaces in Denver that are open to all of us and that are made most accessible to those who have been locked out for too long. Let's look around you. Let me talk a bit about the room you're in tonight, the site you're in. We're here at Globeville, Elyria, Swansea, and the ground we're gathered on tonight sits in some of the oldest neighborhoods in Denver, with deep Latino and Native American roots. Twice, highways were driven through these blocks, and those cuts left scars. Cut off from investment, cut off from downtown's growth, saddled with some of the most polluted zip codes in America. This is a community that too many people gave up on. We refuse to do that. As the new National Western Campus rises west of the rail lines, the city will hold 65 acres of the old campus. And so now, in partnership with the community, we are dreaming of new opportunities for this site. Housing, public space, a connection to Brighton Boulevard and the growth of neighborhoods south of I-70. And because the city owns this land, we can do what private development never offered here. Build with community and for community, and to make it possible for the families who built Globeville, Elyria, and Swansea to have shared ownership in what comes next. That can mean home ownership we can help support. It can mean community land trusts that keep property in community hands. It can mean neighborhood investment trusts that allow neighbors to hold shares in whatever development emerges. But after generations of missteps and mistreatment, this will at last be home to a neighborhood that grows with its neighbors, for its neighbors, and by its neighbors. And that is a vision of a city that is both owned by us and kept affordable for us. Okay, one last example for you, and that is our site at the current Mile High Stadium. When I ran for mayor, I was asked about the future of the Denver Broncos. And I said they had to stay in Denver, of course, and they needed to stay on the west side because they were culturally connected to the west side of Denver. And the Broncos ownership shared the same bigger vision that a stadium should not just be a building surrounded by 6 acres of parking. It has to be a community asset 365 days a year, full of restaurants and housing and public spaces. And Burnham Yard, a rail yard fenced off for almost 150 years, gives us that chance. But when the Broncos open their new stadium there and begin hosting Super Bowls and graduations and, I hope, Beyonce concerts, this city will uncover a new once-in-a-century opportunity. because that is the day that the current Mile High becomes the old Mile High, and the 85 acres beneath it come back to the city. Land connected to Federal Boulevard, to Sun Valley, to Westwood, and the next year we will start the community process unlike anything Denver has done in our adult lifetime to meet this opportunity. Neighbors will get to dream together about what to build, what to connect, and how to knit back together communities that spent generations disconnected. This can mean thousands of new units of housing, new public spaces, all perfectly connected to Federal Boulevard and downtown. That is the chance to reconnect Denver and to ensure that West Denver was built by us, stays open to us, and affordable to us. And there's a reason we chose these places. Between National Western, Old Mile High, the resources of DDA downtown, the city holds more than 150 acres and real investment power. That's all sitting on existing rail lines, and so for decades, transit has struggled here because we have never built density around those stations. These sites allow us finally to build housing that we can keep affordable in exactly the places where people want to get from and get to, that can finally make transit work at scale. That is why tonight we are announcing our plan to build 20,000 housing units across this Mile High line. This won't just add the housing supply we need to keep Denver affordable. It will provide the density we need to support the city's growth to become a place where Denverites can rely on public transit to get from where they are to where they want to go. That is the vision. A city that is connected to each other and connected to a shared plan for jobs, housing, transit, climate, and equity. The idea of connectedness is not new. Nita Gonzalez and the River Sisters dreamed for years of a turquoise necklace linking the communities of the Platte. Her vision shaped ours. Avi Stopper and the Vamos movement spent a decade making it easier to get anywhere from anywhere on a bike. His work with our Bicycle Advisory Committee and the Shared Streets Partnership shaped the bikeways that will connect this line. The 5280 Trail Team pushed for the path this line will help deliver, and the ideas and leaders were always here. They just weren't always heard. The Mile Line is what can happen when a city listens and leads. A line is a connection between 2 points. These points are already joined by rail. We will join them by trail. But a line is also a direction. It points somewhere. This one points towards a Denver that is affordable for all of us, open to all of us, and owned by all of us. A vibrant city of arts and sports and commerce that is still closer to the outdoors than any other place on earth. If the airport is our connection to the world and Union Station is our connected to the region, the Mile High Line is our connection to each other. It is where Denver connects to Denver, and Denver is at our best when we are connected. That's our vision for Denver. A city where every child can thrive with childcare for all. A city where people belong because we can afford a home. And a city that stays connected, connected to each other and to the shared public spaces that are dreamed by us and open to us and owned by us and affordable for us. So let me close with this. This year, America turns 250 years old. I promise to get you out of here before she turns 251. But like any big milestone, it has everyone asking the big questions. Who are we as a people now? What do we stand for as a nation? Where do we go from here? Because on her birthday, the America we choose to celebrate is the patriotism of Justina Ford. It's the Tuskegee Airmen who won a war for a country that wouldn't seat them at a lunch counter. The native code talkers who carried messages that no machine could break. The young men of Amachi who volunteered to serve their country even while their parents stayed behind barbed wire. The 54th Massachusetts who fought for a freedom they had been denied, or Frederick Douglass who fought for an America to be as good as its promise. Patriots, every single one of them. People who loved this country not because she was perfect, but because she was capable of becoming more perfect. In America, it is often those who have struggled the most who fly the largest flag. And that belief lives freest here in the West, where the constraints of the old world can be left behind. We are Justina Ford, who came here to be a doctor. We are the scrappy Irish and Germans and Italians and Jews who fled the prosecution of the coasts. Here's where we built a more perfect version of America, a more open frontier. Not because we've reached the promised land, but because we have traveled the farthest and the most relentlessly in pursuit of it. Think about what Justina Ford would see if she'd walk through Denver tonight. She'd see Jesse knocking on a car window, asking a stranger to come inside. She'd see Seth submitting applications to trucking companies. She'd see Kieran grading papers with their 2 kids in a home that used to be an empty office. She'd see kids playing baseball under new lights at La Alma while Reb and Seth look on with pride. She would see entrepreneurs of color operating their businesses on Denver's iconic 16th Street, and she would recognize all of it because it represents exactly what she was doing in that living room in 5 Points more than a century ago. Not waiting for hope to arrive, but making the change that creates it. I know she would have loved the moment when the Denver Summit, Denver's first professional women's soccer team, took the field for the first time this last summer. Those of you that were there know that what I'm talking about. More than 60,000 people showed up with them, the largest crowd ever to watch a U.S. women's professional sporting event. And at that game, you could see Denver in every face, young and old, every race and religion and neighborhood wearing the same jersey. That wasn't just a team showing up. That was a city showing up. Not because we are perfect, because we insist that we are still becoming. Justina Ford came to Denver looking for the open frontier. Now it is our job to hand her descendants and ours what was promised all along. A city of opportunity, always open to anyone, always with a chance for everyone. The chance to thrive, the chance to belong, the chance to connect in places full of ordinary joy that makes Denver home. A moment when people had lost faith that something better was possible, Justina built that city, one changed life at a time. For the last 3 years, we have tried to do the same, and we're just getting started. Because that is the lesson of her life and the lesson of this city. It is not always hope that drives change. It is change that drives hope. That relentless pursuit of change that matters for every Denverite, that is how we build this city. That is how we save democracy. That is how we bind this country back together. And that, on her 250th birthday, is what America wants most desperately of all. Thank you so much for being here.
Threw the notebook down. Have to get it back here. Hold on. Forgot it. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to need those too. Okay. Thank you, Mayor Johnston, for those words. Appreciate it. Please now welcome Imam Muhammad Kolila of the Denver Islamic Center for today's benediction.
Good evening, everyone. That's lots of dreams and hopes and actions and plans. And just like, let's take a deep breath then and calm our nervous system to keep going. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum. A greeting Muslims say every day. It means, may peace be upon you. And as Mayor Johnson used to say, and then we carry the same, peace is not the absence, only the absence of conflict. Peace is the presence of dignity. Peace is the presence of safety. Peace is the presence of mercy and wholeness, which is the common goal of everyone, of consciousness. For those who pray, I will invite you later to pray with me. For those who do not, I invite you to receive this as a moment of reflection, gratitude, and shared hope for our beloved city. But let me share with you a story before we get into prayers. This story is my own story. 9 years ago, I came to Denver as an immigrant from a small village in the Delta of Egypt. I came from a place where Nile teaches patience, where neighbors know each other by name and where doors are often open, not because people have too much, but because people they believe whatever little they have can still be shared. When I arrived to Denver, I carried a suitcase, I carried memories of home, and I carried an accent. And I guess all of you now know I have an accent. And a prayer in my heart, like many immigrants. I did not come seeking only opportunities, I came seeking belonging. I wondered, would this city see me? Will that city make room for me and for my story? Will my children grow here with dignity and freedom? Will my faith be understood or feared? Over the years, Denver has answered and still answering through people, through my neighbors who smiled in my face without asking me what my name is. And my name is Muhammad. I guess by now everybody asks or knows that name. They can carry a lot of labels with it. I've seen that in city workers that finishing some paperwork in DMV or finishing my social security or applying for a job with dignity. And I've seen communities of different faiths and also non-faith, where all of them stand with each other when one is hurt. I know there's still more work to do. We're not living in a perfect world, especially for those of us who live in the margins. For me, as Muslim, as an immigrant, as an Arab, so many intersectionalities. And people whose stories are often misunderstood, but I remain hopeful because I have seen belonging being built here. Person by person, block by block, policy by policy, and heart by heart. In the Quran, in my holy book, God says, "We created you from a single origin and made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. Not so that you may fear one another, not so that you may erase one another, but so that you may know one another." This is one gift. We can all relate to that, and Muslims can bring to Denver. The belief that difference is not a threat to our city. Difference can be a mercy to the city when it's joined with justice, humility, and service. In Islam, leadership is called an amana. I'm sure all of you are going to forget that word at the end. It means a sacred trust. Public service is not only about power, it's about accountability. It is about remembering the child whose family cannot afford rent, the elder who feels forgotten, the worker cleaning buildings after everyone else has gone home, the newcomer learning English, the veteran carrying invisible wounds, and the family grieving violence, and the young person wondering if this city has a future for them. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to say and taught his followers, the best people are those who are the most beneficial to people. So let that be our measure tonight, not only what we have achieved, but who benefited from it, not only how high our skylines rise, but how deeply our compassion reaches. So let us pray together and reflect together. Oh God, the most compassionate, bless Denver with leaders who do not grow tired of seeing people. Bless our mayor, bless our city council, our public servants, first responders, educators, community leaders, faith leaders, and every neighbor carrying an unseen burden. Give them wisdom when answers are not easy. Give them courage when justice is costly. Give them humility when power is tempting. Give them patience when progress is slow, and compassion that remains even when the cameras leave. Bless that city with safety, but not safety built in fear. Bless us with prosperity, but not prosperity that leaves the poor behind. Bless us with growth, but not growth that forgets memories, culture, and community. May Denver be a city where no one is reduced to a label, where the unhoused are treated as people, not problems, where immigrants are not spoken of as burdens, but recognized as humans, carrying dreams, skills, grief, and hope, when Muslims, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Sikhs, indigenous communities, people of every tradition, people of no religious tradition can stand together without suspicion and work together without losing who they are. May our children inherit from us more than buildings and budgets. May they inherit mercy, clean air, safe streets, good schools, honest conversations, and a city that knows how to disagree without dehumanizing. O God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, make us beneficial to one another. Make our hands become hands of service. Make our words become words of healing. Make our policies promote dignity. Make our neighborhoods thrive as places of trust. Make our diversity become source of wisdom. And may Denver stay a home for the lonely, refuge for the afraid, a place of opportunity for the young, and a place of honor to the old. May peace be upon Denver. May mercy cover Denver. May justice guide Denver. May we be worthy of a city that we received and the faithful to the city that we are building. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Iman Kolila. That was inspiring and uplifting. Thank you all for being here this evening. We would like to invite you all to a community celebration right outside, made possible, I'm going to go through the list, the National Western Center, Airbnb, Southwest Airlines, I feel like I'm doing a commercial, Comcast, VO, PRG, Metropolis, HDR, National Western Stock Show, the Hispanic Restaurant Association, King Soopers, Visit Denver, the Beck Group, Little Man Ice Cream, El Dorado Water, Bonfire Event Company, and thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope you were able to enjoy us. I think we're opening the doors. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a moment of private. Outside, we were going to do the reception. It's very warm. Thank you to the team for really thinking on their feet. You guys are going to go outside, but then we're going to come back inside to be able to enjoy the rest of the evening. So thank you all.